the Kravik's hunting vessel. Silent Talon drifted through the asteroid field like a predator stalking prey. Its sensors had detected an anomaly, a small human transport pod damaged and leaking atmosphere. Inside, thermal scans revealed a single life form. Small, weak, perfect. Captain Zekthor's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. Humans were becoming quite valuable in the outer markets, especially the young ones. They were considered exotic, their capacity for emotion making them prized possessions among collectors. This would be an easy capture. "Prepare the tractor beam," Zekthor commanded, his 4 eyes gleaming in the dim light of the bridge. "Bring the pod aboard." The crew of 6 Kravik's warriors, each standing nearly 8 feet tall with chitinous exoskeletons and razor-sharp claws, moved with practiced efficiency. They had raided dozens of vessels. This would be routine. The pod was pulled into the cargo bay with a metallic groan. Zekthor descended with his team, weapons ready. The pod's hatch was damaged, easy to pry open. Through the small viewport they could see her, a human child, no more than 10 standard years, with dark hair and tear-streaked cheeks. She clutched something small and furry against her chest. "A pet," one warrior hissed with amusement. How adorable. They didn't understand. They couldn't have known. Lena Hale had been traveling with her parents to the colony world of New Terra when the pirates attacked. The emergency pod had been her only escape, and now she was alone, except for Stitch. Her father had given her the honey badger as a gift, though gift didn't quite capture what Stitch really was. Genetically enhanced. Military-grade aggression protocols. Unbreakable loyalty. Her father, a former Earth Defense Force officer, had insisted she needed protection. Lena had thought he was being paranoid. She wasn't thinking that anymore. As the Kraviks pried open the hatch, Lena's arms tightened around Stitch. The honey badger's body was tense, muscles coiled like springs. His black and white fur bristled, and a low growl rumbled from deep in his chest, a sound that carried a promise of violence. "Come out, little human," Zekthor said in broken galactic common, reaching one clawed hand toward her. "We won't hurt you. Much." The other warriors laughed, a chittering sound that echoed through the cargo bay. Lena looked down at Stitch. His dark eyes met hers, and she saw something there. Not just animal instinct, but intelligence, understanding, permission. She whispered 2 words, "Get them," and then she released him. What happened next would become legend across 12 star systems. Stitch exploded from Lena's arms like a missile of fur and fury. The Kraviks had perhaps 2 seconds to register what was coming before 20 pounds of enhanced honey badger crashed into Zekthor's face. The captain's scream was cut, short as Stitch's reinforced. Jaws clamped onto his mandibles and twisted. The sound of chitin cracking filled the bay. Zekthor stumbled backward, flailing, but Stitch was already gone, a blur of black and white death. The second warrior raised his plasma rifle, but Stitch was faster. He launched himself at the alien's weapon arm, teeth sinking through the exoskeleton like it was paper. The warrior shrieked as Stitch found the soft joint tissue beneath, severing tendons with surgical precision. "Kill it!" another warrior roared, firing wildly. Plasma bolts scorched the air, but Stitch moved like liquid chaos. He ricocheted off walls, used cargo crates as launching pads, turned the confined space into a nightmare maze where size and strength meant nothing against speed and savage intelligence. A third warrior tried to grab him with both claws. Stitch ran up the alien's arm across his shoulder and tore into the vulnerable nerve cluster at the base of his skull. The warrior collapsed, twitching. The remaining 3 warriors tried to form a defensive position, but they were thinking like soldiers. Stitch wasn't a soldier. He was a force of nature wrapped in fur, and he had no concept of mercy or retreat. He went low, sliding between the legs of the 4th warrior and hamstringing him in passing. The alien crashed to the deck. Stitch was on his face an instant later, claws raking, teeth finding purchase in anything soft. The 5th warrior actually managed to land a glancing blow, sending Stitch tumbling across the floor. For a moment, the alien thought he had succeeded. Then Stitch rolled to his feet, shook himself once, and charged again, this time aiming for the warrior's throat. The 6th warrior ran. He actually abandoned his post and fled toward the bridge, keying the emergency blast door. It began to descend with ponderous slowness. Stitch made it through with inches to spare. The warrior's screams echoed through the ship's corridors for 37 seconds. Then silence. Lena remained in the pod, hands pressed over her ears, trying not to hear the sounds of carnage. When everything finally went quiet, she counted to 100 like her father had taught her before stepping out. The cargo bay looked like a war zone. 6 Kravix warriors lay scattered across the deck, none of them moving. Some might have been dead, others were definitely wishing they were. "Stitch?" she called softly. A familiar chattering sound answered her. The honey badger emerged from the shadows covered in blue Kravix blood, dragging what looked like a piece of someone's arm. He dropped it at her feet like a trophy, then sat back on his haunches, looking extremely pleased with himself. Lena knelt down and checked him over. A few scratches, one shallow plasma burn on his flank, but nothing serious. The genetic enhancements included accelerated healing. "Good boy," she whispered, hugging him despite the gore. "Such a good boy." Stitch licked her face, leaving a blue smear across her cheek. It took Lena 3 hours to figure out the ship's basic controls. The Kravix systems were designed for 4-handed operation, but she was clever and persistent. She managed to send out a distress signal using the emergency protocols that were standard across most galactic vessels. The Earth Defense Force corvette Resolute arrived 6 hours later. They found the pirate ship adrift, its crew incapacitated or dead, and one small human girl sitting in the captain's chair with a blood-soaked honey badger, curled up in her lap. The boarding team's initial report was flagged as possibly influenced by decompression, psychosis, and had to be filed 3 times before command believed it. Within a month, the story had spread across the galactic network. The Kravix Consortium filed an official complaint about human biological weapons and demanded compensation. Earth's response was a 3-word message: "Get fucked," diplomatically. Stitch received a commendation from the EDF, though he mostly ignored it in favor of the premium jerky they sent. Lena was reunited with her parents who had survived the initial pirate attack, and across 1,000 worlds, predator species learned a simple lesson: humans were not prey. Even their children came equipped with guardians that would tear through steel and flesh to protect them. The galaxy had been warned. Some species just had to learn the hard way. Stitch, for his part, remained entirely unbothered by his newfound fame. He had done what any proper honey badger would do when his human was threatened. He didn't give a fuck.